Hi, I'm Kim Hansen, and I hope I am your hairdresser. I'm sitting here in my studio, and it's a little bit decorated for the holidays, not too. I have this kind of cute little tree here and a few other cute little decorations, but it's just waiting for you to come visit me. So today I'm going to talk about the joy of hair color. A lot of people really find hair color a way to make slight or drastic changes to their look, to the way they feel, um, and most of the time it seems fairly easy to you. And so perhaps over COVID, you went down to the local store and you bought a tube of color or a box of color. And now you created this color for yourself, and maybe you like it and maybe you don't. And what I've had happen in the last couple months since the second lockdown, even since the first shutdown, I shouldn't call it a lockdown, is a lot of people wanting a color change. And I want you to know that a color change isn't always as easy as it seems. I had a client come in recently that asked me about, how does color work? How do we decide what color to put on your hair? Is it just, if you're a brown and you want it, like light beige blonde, do we just put beige blonde on there? The answer is no, that's not how we work. I have two color lines that I can work from. Actually, I technically have three color lines that I can work from, but these are the two main ones, and they're both from a company in Spain, the same company that I use for my wet styling line, my shampoos and my conditioners and my masks. And you may have heard me talk about the company before. Well, these companies started with a color line, and it is, I believe, fifth generation family owned businesses. And how this company line started is actually the gentleman who started the color line was a fabric maker. And the fabric maker met up with a hairdresser. And the hairdresser, way back in 1920, maybe something like that, the hairdresser wanted to create a color line, a beautiful color line with beautiful shades, with beautiful pigments. So he went to the fabric maker, and apparently he knew him. I think he might have been a client of his. And he started discussing how fabric dye was made and how it's different from hair color. So that's how this company was born. Out of that conversation of those two men, one who was a fabric maker who understand pigments and dye in fabric, and the other guy who was a hairdresser who understood pigments and dye and how to make things happen within hair color. The problem that we often come across in hair coloring is that we often deal with one, two, three, sometimes even four different colors on one head of hair. A lot of people will have a root color that sometimes is their own natural color. A lot of times that's much darker. Sometimes it's gray. Sometimes we have a mid color, like a mid band that might be a little bit gold. And then or sometimes orangey, coppery. And then there is a lot of times a hair color on the mid length to the end. And sometimes the very ends even have a very different color. So the first question is, do we want to even out that color? to make it all one color, or do we want to utilize the color that you currently have and play with it to create a gradual lightening effect from root to end? You'll see a lot of the balayage, a lot of the foliage, a lot of, there is shadow root color now that starts out much darker, more natural color at the root, and then gradually lightens to the end. This is a newer technique, although it's not really new. I did, when I first started doing hair in 1987, it was something that was popular then, and then phased out as we got more into foiling. And, perms were kind of a big deal in that day, and we kind of shied away from doing a lot of color on top of perms because we wanted to maintain the integrity of the hair. The integrity of the hair is very important to me. So I'm going to tell you that there are some times when people come in and there's things that I won't do. But when I talk to people and I do the color consultation, I want to know a few things. I want to know what your desired color is, like what the end game is. I want to know your budget. I want to know your maintenance plan. And I want to know, what is underneath that hair, what you've done or what somebody else has done to the hair, if possible, because sometimes in box colors and various colors in the drugstore, there are certain metallic dyes that actually have a reaction to other chemicals. So those are a few things that I always like to know: budget, maintenance, what your desired long-term goal is, and what has happened to the hair prior to you sitting in my chair if I haven't done your hair before. All right, then we go to desired color. So as you can see, I have these two swatch books. This is a color that it does have ammonia in it. And because it has ammonia in it, you're able to achieve, or I'm able to achieve, a much more vibrant color than I can with this color line, which is a no ammonia color line. A lot of you who know me and have sat in my chair before over the years know that I really prefer a much more natural hair color. You'll see people walking by in the background in the hallways. So I apologize if it creates a distraction for you, but just try and stay focused here. So I work generally, my thing is creating beautiful natural hair color. I created two really pretty hair colors this weekend. One was a beautiful copper with some very subtle copper blonde, almost like a beige with a little bit of gold in it, to create some dimension into the hair color, so it's just not all flat copper. And then I created another one, which was a balayage, that was a grown out balayage, and she had probably 5 inches of regrowth from the balayage, and the bleach that was used to do the balayage definitely it broke down the hair. So I didn't want to go back in and use bleach to break down the hair even further. I wanted to be able to use what's called a high lift tint, which I can generally get a pretty good amount of lift from a high lift than I could, and a much more control of the underlying pigment. Okay, underlying pigment. What is underlying pigment? I've been asked this question numerous times. Okay, here you guys it's gonna be a little color lesson. Joyful color. This is our level system. Okay, you have a very pale blonde here, which is a level 10. And you come down here, over here to a level 1, which is black. Between all these colors, okay, you have a 10, a 9, an 8, a 7, a 6, a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It represents all the different shades. Now, a lot of people don't want to be these boring kind of brown and blonde shades. A lot of people want to add some pigment or take away pigment, such as many people who have a lighter brown hair or a darker blonde hair always fight red. They're always telling me to put ash in it. So we have all of these colors, okay? So I established what the natural color of the hair is, which the natural, what is underneath all of that color, what you were born with, what it is now, what it is today, the natural pigment, which generally lives somewhere in here. It might be a little bit more gold, a little bit more red, generally isn't a little bit more ash. Sometimes more ash is involved, but usually, depending on where you live in this level system, I'm pointing to the wrong thing. Depending on where you live in this level system will depend on how much ash, natural ash, is coming into the hair. Generally, people between a level 6, 7, and 8, which is this is your level 6, 7, and 8, there is underlying red and orange pigments. Also in a level 7, underlying red and orange pigments. So when you fade, everybody's saying they fade orangey, they fade a little warmer, and a lot of people don't like to fade warmer. So what I have to do is I have to calculate how much of ash, or I prefer blue, I need to put in the hair to maintain less warmth in the hair. Some people want to go with the warmth, which is why I need to know the natural color and the natural underlying pigments I'm going to pull in the hair. If I'm covering up blonde, okay, I need to start adding pigment back into the hair. And there's a specific way and a specific amount of various different underlying pigments to add back in so the hair color doesn't look muddy. I hope this shows you that color is not something that you can go to a store, a grocery store, and just pick light ash blonde or dark ash brown or medium golden blonde and get exactly the color because that is on the box, because sometimes the consumer doesn't always understand the actual pigment that's created to create that color, and also the colors that they're fighting. A lot of people talk ash to me. Ash is made out of the one of the two of the three primary colors. What makes ash? Ash is green. Green is made out of blue and yellow. When I'm fighting red, or when I'm fighting warmth in a dark brown, medium brown, dark blonde, lighter blonde, sometimes in a lighter blonde, you'll fight a lot of that gold and a lot of that kind of orangey color. I prefer to use a blue rather than an orange, rather than a green. A lot of times a box that you get at the store, or a tube of color that you get at the store, doesn't seem like it would have more blue or more green in it. So how do you know, right? That's the point of why hairdressers oftentimes study years to learn hair color. Now, this is the color line I primarily use. It's called Canescence. It's infused with essential oils, and the essential oils get deposited inside the hair shaft, so it makes for incredible shine in your hair. It also is no ammonia. Both color lines, there are two cancer causing chemicals known, actually, they're not really known. They're thought to be cancer causing chemicals in hair color. And I'm not going to give you the chemical terms, but we refer to them as MME or PPD, not PPE, PPD. Those chemicals have been banned in Europe. However, they are not banned in the United States. So even though you may be using a semi-permanent color thinking that it doesn't have bad things in it, a lot of times those semi-permanent colors that you get from the grocery store also contain MME and PPE. A lot of times they will contain small amounts of ammonia. I would imagine that they would have to say that they contain small amounts of ammonia in them. And some will say it's a no ammonia color, but they either have a higher pH, which allows them to open the cuticle layer, or to deposit the hair color in the shaft and to develop the color, or they do contain MME and PPD. All right, so I use this color line. You can see by looking at this color line, if you can see it here, that these colors are not as vibrant as the colors that I showed you in the other swatch book. They're much more muted. Although, if you can see, I don't know if you can kind of see, but some of them, especially some of these reds down at the end, like right in here, right in this area, I should say. I kind of can't see very good here. Right in this area, these reds right here, they oh my gosh, I'm all turned around. My camera is totally turned around. You can see that the lighting isn't that great in here, but you can see some of these colors are fairly vibrant. You can also see some of these colors are fairly vibrant. You have some really beautiful, vibrant coppers and colors in here. These are a little bit more muted coppers, a little bit more beigey coppers. And then you have these, which are a little bit more blue-based reds. And you have some beautiful golden tones as well. Then we go to this, and these are all of your ash and kind of your fun colors up in here, like your grays and your roses. And I also have pinks and things like that, although I don't, it's just generally, I do them, but they're not really the vibrant colors or the fashion colors are not really in my wheelhouse. Like I said, most of what I do is very shiny, very natural, very beautiful looking color. That's kind of my passion as far as color goes. I like hair to be beautiful. I like hair to be shiny. I like hair to be healthy. I don't like to wreck the hair. Which, by the way, I had a client come in recently and she had just put teal on her hair and her mother wanted the teal out. And what happened was I had to remove that color and it did cause some damage. However, I cannot or could not get the teal completely out because teal or blue is one of the hardest colors to remove from the hair. So she had to compromise with me about not wanting a platinum color that she wanted. And we had to go a little bit darker to be able to cover up some of that underlying bluish kind of, almost it came to an aqua a lighter aqua. If you think of mermaid, a mermaid aqua, it kind of lifted to that aqua color. So sometimes these corrective colors take time, and they also honestly take money. So what I want to warn you is, before you go out to the store and before you do these crazy pink and blue and orange and green and these fun pigments for the holidays, and just because, you know, quarantine, and many people are still in quarantine, some people are not, but be careful when you're using those vibrant pigments, because they are direct dyes, and it's almost like a grass stain on white pants. So if you have, my son used to play baseball. When he would go out and play baseball and he would slide and he would keep sliding in a game, I don't care what I used, what kind of bleach I used, rarely could I get 100% of the dirt and grass stains out of those white pants. Same is with hair color. Because you're working with a stain in a lot of those direct dye colors, it's very difficult to remove all the direct dye from the hair color. So just word to the wise, it's cost a number of my mom clients a little bit of money to try and remove pink and purple and violet and all these fun colors out of the hair. Go ahead and do them if you choose. Come into the salon, allow us to do them for you. If you want a little piece, I've even sometimes thought about doing something a little fun myself, although I'm kind of boring when it comes to my hair. But let us do them the proper way, so that A, your hair is not damaged, and B, the color is even from you know, the top to the bottom, or where we want to put it in. So that is just a little bit of information about how I work with color, what my belief in color is, and what to expect if you were to come in and if you haven't been in, and that during a full consult, and I usually take sometimes up to a half an hour to look at different pictures and to really talk about what your desired result is and what your desired maintenance is, and what do you want to really achieve, and to understand that that is sometimes a process that happens over time. You're not always going to come into the salon and get exactly what you want the first time. It's either, you know, I had another client that wanted to go darker and I didn't want to take her too dark. So it was a process of going up a shade or two darker, and then a shade or two darker. And then we ended up putting some highlights back in because it was too dark. And so patience is also required. I also want to say that in my industry, there is a lot of expectations placed on us as hairdressers, that you're going to walk out here looking exactly like you want, and that we are going to create exactly what you have in your mind. Part of that is the ability for your hairdresser to do a good enough consultation to be able to manage your expectations, and to really get a good idea of what it is that you want. The second part of that is, I always ask people to give a hairdresser 3 appointments, unless they totally screw up or you really don't like them. 3 appointments is a general rule. If they can't achieve what you want within 3 appointments, then perhaps it's time to go somewhere else, because they either aren't communicating with you, they're not understanding you, and maybe another hairdresser would understand better. But always try to give a hairdresser at least 3 visits, 3 appointments, so that they can get to know you and they can get to know your personal style, because we don't always know a brand new client's personal style. And they get to know what you like and what you don't like. This between hairdresser and client is a relationship. It's a relationship we build over long periods of time. And I will also say, if you have a client that is not listening to you, then maybe it's time to try somebody new. So there's a ton of joy that can be created from beautiful color. When you walk around and you have that shine and that bounce, and you have that hairstyle that you just feel makes you look, and that hair color that makes you just look like fantastic and fancy and sexy and whatever it is, professional, whatever goal of a look that you're looking for, allow us to help create that for you and communicate those things. Sometimes it's not always just about here's a picture and go ahead and do this. It's let's look at a few pictures and let's see what's possible and what's not possible. And a lot of these newer hair colors require some maintenance and some time in a salon, which I find a lot of my clients aren't really willing to do. So we back off the desired look and we create something like that within a time frame and a budget that works for you. So always find a hairdresser who listens, asks lots of questions about what you like, takes plenty of time in your consultation. And if they need to, pull out the swatch books and let you look and choose what you want. And then your job is to listen to their expertise and decide if that's something that you want to do. I also recommend on new color consultations and new clients, or if you're looking for a new hairdresser, I also recommend a consult only. It's like an interview with the hairstylist. Take time to interview your hairstylist. Take time to find the right person for you. I've developed relationships with people. I've been doing hair for 32 years. I still have clients that I have done 32 years ago. And I've developed amazing relationships with my clients. And some I have just served them as a hairdresser, and they are my client, and it's a professional relationship because that's what they want and that's what they prefer. So you're the boss, and interview the people that you want to work for you, because you have to think that your hairdresser is working for you to find the joy of color and the joy of beautiful hair. I hope this is somewhat helpful. I hope I didn't confuse you too much about underlying pigments and stuff. I try not to get too into that. If you're interested in learning more, please, when you come in, ask me questions. I'd be happy to answer them about any chemicals, any allergies that you have. We can deal with all of those things. We can do swatch tests. We can go slow. You're the boss. Like I said, you're the boss. All right. You guys have a great rest of your week. So far, salons are not closed, although the governor came on, I believe it was yesterday, and said that there are concerns about moving closer to closure. So if you want to get your hair done and you want to be pretty for the holidays, or if you just want to look in the mirror and smile and feel confident at yourself, give me a call this week, because who knows what's going to happen. I'm very busy Friday, Saturday of this week. I do have some appointments on Wednesday and Thursday. So give me a buzz, text, Go on to my online booking app if that works easier. A lot of people are really liking that online booking app because it allows them to really look at their schedule and their family's schedule and my schedule and book a time that works. So go on the booking app or text me, email me, call me, and I will get back to you with a time that works for you. But once again, I'm really actually almost booked for Friday and Saturday. I do have times Thursday. I also do work evenings, select evenings during the week for those of you who work. And for some of you who are working from home, please feel free to make your appointment during the day. And you can always come in here and work, do your computer work, do whatever you need to, if you even need to be on calls. It's very quiet in here and it's just you and me. It's not like a regular big salon that's noisy, that's everybody's gonna know that you're in a salon getting your hair cut, okay? You guys take care, have a fantastic week. I hope you're helpful, or I hope you're healthy. I hope I was helpful. I hope you are healthy. I hope your family's healthy. And I wish you a safe and happy and joyful week. Thank you.